when you see it. Don't get confused. Please, can you all see the screen, the image on the screen?
Sir, please.
Can you all see the?
No, sir.
Can you all see the image on the screen?
No, please.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Please, those who cannot see,
we can see.
those who cannot see, kindly rejoin and you will see it. Or maybe you are using a phone or something, you can rejoin and make sure you will see the screen, because I think as many people can see that. So those who can see the screen, tell me some of the components that you see. I think this is a picture of what a system unit. That's the chassis or something. It's telling you, who can tell me some of the components that you can identify over there? Yes, I'm not looking at that, so please. Yes. The first
Okay, sir, the battery.
You can see the battery.
Yes, sir.
You can see what?
The battery.
The battery. Yes. Yeah. Okay. What else can you also see? Yes. Who else? What can you see from the image that I've shown on the screen? Yes. Please, I'm not looking at it, so you can just say it. If you raise up your hand, I'm not looking at the screen.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Sir, I can see power supply.
You can see the power supply. Yes, that one, the power supply. Yes. Who else? What can you see from them?
There's power cables.
You can see the power cables. The power cables. That one is also true. Yes, the power cables is there. Yes. What else? Yes. Whatever you can see, just tell us.
Inputs or outputs?
You can see what?
Inputs or outputs?
You can see the input or output. Okay. What else?
Hey, I can also see the motherboard.
You can see the motherboard. The motherboard. Yes, that is true. That's the motherboard in the system unit. Yes. What else can you also see?
The floppy disk drive.
You can see the floppy disk drive. The floppy disk drive. That is true. Yes. What else can you also see?
I can also see the daughter board.
You can see the daughter board. Aside, there's a motherboard and there's a daughter board. Thank you very much. Yes. What else can you also see?
Yeah, we also have battery.
The battery. You said you can see the battery.
Yes, please.
Where is the battery? Where can you see
the battery?
The
motherboard.
Below the motherboard. Yes, that is the battery. So what is the name of that battery? We will come back. The CMOS battery. We will come back and name it very well. That's the battery. Yes. What else? Yes.
I can also see the case of the system.
You can see the RAM. The RAM. You said
the case of the system.
The case of the system unit. That's the case. Yes, that is also true. Yes, there are a lot of things. Okay, let me go to another
CD-ROM.
You can see the CD-ROM. That is true. The CD-ROM is also showing over there. Yes. What else can you also see? Yes. There's hard drive. Hard disk. Yes.
Data cable.
The what? The SATA.
Data cables.
Yes, the data cables. Yes, we have the data cables. That one is also true. Yes. What else? You can see the CPU fan. Can't you see the CPU fan is there?
I can see that CPU fan.
Yeah, the CPU fan is there. You can see the case
fan.
And yes. So I've also shown another screen, another image on that, another image. Can you all see that image too?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So just tell me some of the things that you can identify from this image too.
The cooling fan and heat sink.
You can see the cooling fan and the heat sink. That is true. There's a cooling fan there and there's a heat sink over there. That is true. Yes. What else can you also identify?
So the hard disk drive.
Solid state drive.
The hard disk drive. That is true. The hard disk drive is also there. Yes. Yes. Whatever you have.
Yeah, we have the power supply unit.
The power supply unit. This one is also showing the power supply unit. That is true. What else?
Graphics card.
The graphics card. The graphics card is also showing. Yes, it is also there.
The
Yes.
RAM
And
expansion
what
slots.
is the tool that PCLE whatever
You said you can see
PCLE
what?
something PCLE times
Yeah,
16 slots into bracket
PCLE
graphics. PCLE
peripheral component interconnect. That's the expansion slot. You can see it over there. That is true. That the full meaning of the PC is peripheral component interconnect. Yes, that is true. Yes, what else can you also see?
Solid.
Yes, you said
The
cooling fan
the
and
cool
heat
fan.
sink.
The heat sink is there. You can see the case fans. You can also see the solid state drive. You can see the hard disk drive. You can see the rail, or that's the rail part of this in the USB, the HDMI, and the audio port is also there. You can also see the RAM. The RAM is also showing here. You can also see the CPU. That's the CPU is also showing here. And these are some of the various components, some of the major components that we can see in the. Then this is also another image, also indicating the various components in the system unit. So here too, you see that we've labeled the power supply is also showing over here. At this point too, this one is also showing you the optical disk drive. It's also showing you the power cores. You can also see the processor. You can see the processor beneath the fan. So in this image, you can actually see that there is a fan, and that fan is on top of the processor. And we can see that this system unit is having two hard drives. It's having two hard drives. And the hard drives, they are in the drive bay. They are in the drive bay. I think at some point we'll come and listen. We have the motherboard in this system too. Then we have the SATA cables connected to the motherboard, connected to the hard drive in this. So these are some of the major components that we can see. So at this level, what we are going to do is that we are going to take this component one after the other. I think some students cannot even see clearly. So we are going to take them one after the other and identify them. So that is what we are going to do for today. So I want to start from the motherboard. When we mention the motherboard, what is the motherboard? We are saying that the motherboard describes any number of circuit board that make up the internals of your computer. And it is used most often to describe what we call the motherboard. The motherboard is regarded as the main board in your computer. The motherboard, we are saying that it is regarded as the main board. We are not this, we will take the motherboard and talk and discuss it extensively, but today we are just trying to do the identification. In the subsequent lectures, we will take the motherboard as a topic and we will discuss it into detail. But it connects, the purpose of the motherboard, it connects all hardware components together. At some point too, we can also regard the motherboard as the electrical pathways that enable all other components to communicate with each other. So those who didn't see the motherboard very well, this is also another picture. Please, can you all see the screen? Can you all see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you all see the screen?
Yes, I can see from here.
So this is the motherboard. This is what we are talking about. This is a picture of the motherboard. So those who have not seen the motherboard, we should all appreciate it. And this is what we are talking about. We are saying that it is the main board in the computer. It is regarded as one of the electrical pathways, and most of the components in the computer take their source or their electrical distance from the motherboard. And most of the components, they are all connected to the motherboard. Sometimes we can refer to it as what? As the main board. So like human being, when it comes to read, you can see that all our parts, our hand, our head, and all those is connected to what? The backbone. So the motherboard can be regarded as the backbone of the computer, because the memory, the power supply, and the processor and all those things, they are all sitting on the motherboard, and they take their source or the power from the motherboard. Please, do you all understand? Hello. Please stand.
Yes, sir.
We are following.
I want to hear from the ladies, my ladies on board. How are you? Do you understand? The ladies on board, how are you?
Yes, please. So we are fine.
You are fine.
Yes, please.
And I don't have problem with my guys, but so mostly computer hardware, the problem I face mostly is from the ladies. Are you okay? Do you understand what we are discussing so far?
Yes, please. So we understand.
Are you the only lady on board? How many ladies do you have on board? I want to hear from your voice.
There are many.
Are you okay? Okay. So the first component that we are looking at is the motherboard, and I have established the fact that it is regarded as the main board in the computer, and the motherboard also contains the BIOS chip. It also contains the RAM. It also contains the input and output ports, as well as what the CPU. The motherboard is also regarded as what the electrical pathways that enable all other components to communicate with each other. So basically, this is what I can say about the motherboard. But in the subsequent lectures, we will take the motherboard as a topic, and we will discuss it. The motherboard is divided into a lot of components, a lot of parts. It's divided into two. So I'll come and take it and we will digest it into detail. But for now, today, we are trying to identify what the motherboard is. So that is the picture for you. Then, in some book, if you take some book, they refer to the motherboard as the main board. If you are reading some computer books, some computer hardware book also refer to the motherboard as the main circuit board. If you read other books, they also refer to the motherboard as the system board. Other books will also refer to the motherboard as the base board. Others will refer to it as the logic board or the amable and the colloquial. So whatever book you're reading, whichever way they use it, is the same motherboard that we are talking about: the main board, the system board, the base board, the circuit board, the logic board, and so on and so forth. It is all referring to what the motherboard. So let us get that in mind. So this is also another picture of the motherboard for those who also didn't see it. So this is also another picture of the motherboard, and this is also another image of the motherboard. I don't want to talk once today. Whatever we are doing is just the identification. That once you open your system unit, you should be able to tell me that this is motherboard. This is the motherboard, and without any words, fear or without any contradiction, you need to tell me that this is the motherboard. Okay, fine. When the motherboard is, please, if you finish talking, kindly mute your microphone so that we don't get feedback. The motherboard is the main circuit board of the system. The motherboard is so you can start in this. Please, who is this person giving me the feedback? Can you mute yourself? Hello. Who is this person? Kindly mute your microphone.
Sir, please, we can't hear you.
My screen is okay. Please, can you hear from me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, sorry. I think this thing was muted. Okay, so I'm going on. Please, can you see the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can see.
Can you see the screen? Please, can we see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please.
So on this slide, we can see the desktop motherboard and the laptop motherboard. You see that on top of it, we have the desktop motherboard, and it's still we have the laptop motherboard below it. So it's still the same motherboard, but it's that the desktop motherboard will be a little bit heavier than the laptop motherboard. So that is that for you. Then sometimes we will hear this term daughter board. Daughter board. What is a daughter board? We are saying that the daughter board is a secondary board that contains motherboard functions such as the disks or input and output control. So you see that at some point, the primary function of the computer is not to watch television, but at some point, you want to use your computer to watch television. What are you supposed to do then? What you do is you have to go and buy the TV tuner card. And when you buy the TV tuner card, what you do is that you have to come and install it on the expansion slot on the motherboard. So when you install it that on the expansion slot on the motherboard, you see that the TV tuner card that you bought is having some card on it. And that card that is on the TV tuner card is going to act as the daughter board to the main motherboard. So that's what we are trying to say. So a daughter board is a secondary board that contains motherboard functions. So a daughter board is what? Is a board that contains some of the chips that could have been put on the motherboard, but they were not, perhaps because of space limitations or for other reasons. So it is common to see them used in laptops and other mobile devices. So this is what we are talking about. That's what we meant. We refer to as what? The daughter board. So in actual fact, there are some components that we install on the expansion slot that also contain some functions, and they act as what? As the daughter board. Like gone were those days, we used to have the network interface card that was also installed on the motherboard and at the what? On the expansion slot. So the board on the network interface card will act as what? As the daughter board to the main motherboard. Please, do we understand the concept of the mother on the daughter board? Please, do we understand? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Please, do we understand so far what we are discussing?
Yes, sir.
My ladies, are you there?
Yes, sir, we are here.
You understand that?
Yeah,
You see, we have introduced another
Yes, sir,
on
we are
the
here.
daughter board, and I have tried to explain it. Do you understand that concept, daughter board?
Yes, sir.
Hello, are we there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please, sir. So is it also in the system unit?
No, the daughter board is not in the system unit.
Okay.
You see, I started by trying to explain the fact that sometimes you can use your computer to watch television. Are you okay with me? But before you can use your computer to watch television, the primary purpose of the computer is not to watch television. What you have to do is that you have to go and buy the TV tuner card. And if you buy that TV tuner card, that TV tuner card is also having a board that you come and install on the what? On the motherboard. So when you install the TV tuner card on the motherboard, then that card on the TV tuner card will act as the daughter board to the main motherboard. But the daughter board is not always in the in the system unit. Please, have I been able to explain myself well to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
You understand?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I think you've heard about the network interface card. Gone were those days. If you go to our desktop, we used to have that. But now I think they have integrated most of these things onto the motherboard. If you look at the current computers that we have in the market. But when computing started, or gone were in the 2000s, most of the computers that we have used to have what we call the network interface card. If you can remove the network interface card, and that's where we put the network cable. So when you remove it, there's a board on that. It's also like a board. And we said the board on that network interface card will act as the daughter board to the main motherboard in the system unit. Please, do we all understand? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to hear from you because before I proceed, because sometimes students will complain that they join, they didn't understand, and we are just talking. So please, they said we should take our time and discuss it into detail. So I'm taking my time. At some point, I'll be moving faster, but I want you to understand and I want to take my time so if you introduce any concept and you don't understand, please kindly draw our attention. Whilst the lecture is also going on, maybe you are also on board, but you can also explain it a little bit for your colleagues to understand. Please, you are allowed. We are in the lecture theater, we are online, and it's regarded as university lectures. So we are all learning together. Okay, that is good. Then, when you also look inside the system unit, another component that we were able to identify, and I think somebody mentioned the processor. The processor is also one of the components. So the first component that we took was the motherboard, and I think we have been able to identify the motherboard.
Please, people have their hands up.
He said what?
People, like some of my colleagues have their hands up raised.
I told you that if you have your hands up, you see, I've put my destiny on full screen mode. So I'm not. So if you have your hands up, just interject. Say, please, I have a question. I will allow you. Please, are you okay with me?
Sir.
So ask the
Sir.
question. Hello.
Yeah, sir, please. Yeah, talking about the daughter board, I have seen a system unit that actually has the main board, and in addition to a daughter board, which is also placed very close to it, and we have other external cards or expansion cards that are being mounted. And so I wanted to ask, what about that?
Yeah, please, it depends on the manufacturer, but in most cases, in most cases, you don't see the daughter board on it, but it depends on the manufacturer. There are some manufacturers that will also add the daughter board depending on the specification of the computer. Maybe they want that functionality over there. That's why they put that on it as a daughter board. But in most cases, when you buy a computer with the TV tuner card.
Hello, sir.
I'm also asking a question. In most cases,
your voice is fluctuating.
I said in most cases too, will you buy a computer and see that they've installed a TV tuner card on it?
No, sir.
So maybe that daughter board that you saw on the motherboard, it was somebody recommended or somebody suggested that they needed that. That's why they put that thing on it. So I don't know about that daughter board or that the functionality of that daughter board, but maybe it was just there for some functionality or for the user.
Hello, sir.
Hello, can you hear me? Talk. I'm listening to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, does it mean those expansion cards that are placed within the slots, with exception of the RAM, does it mean all those ones act as daughter boards?
No, they don't act as the daughter board, but that expansion slot is to tell you that maybe you bought the computer for you to use for your learning and at some point, but at some point in time you want to use the computer to watch TV. So which that's another functionality that you want the computer to do. So in this sense, you have to go and buy the TV tuner card and come and install it on the expansion slot. So they've left that slot for you to add any functionality that you want on the motherboard, for you to add any additional functionality that you want at any point in time whilst you are using your PC. Please, are you okay with that?
Sir, my question was actually asking that you clarify those expansion cards that are added to give extra functionality, with the exception of the RAM, are they all seen as the daughter boards?
Are they all seen as the daughter board? And as I said, the daughter board is not always on the motherboard. I said that at some point in time, you will have to install something on the motherboard. and anything that you are trying to install on the motherboard on the expansion slot might have some board on that, and we will regard that board on that thing that you're trying to install on the motherboard as the daughter board to the main motherboard that is always in the system. That's what I said. I think.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Please, that's exactly what he is trying to say, but probably it's because he made mention of the expansion slots that is creating all this confusion. The expansion slot itself is not the daughter board, but it gives the avenue for the daughter board to be inserted onto the motherboard. That is what probably you're supposed to have said.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for the clarification. But let's find out for him if it's okay. Is it okay? Do you understand what he said?
Yes, I'm playing now.
Okay, fine. So now we are moving from the motherboard to the processor. Are you okay with me? We are moving from the motherboard to the processor, another component that we want to identify on the motherboard. So we are saying that the processor, as we've already established, in short, we call it the central processing unit, or in short, we call it the CPU. And at the basic level, at the JHS level, we also see that the processor can act as the brain of the computer, so to speak. Sometimes we refer to it as the brain of the computer. Somebody will also advance the argument. There are some books at the higher level who dispute this argument that the processor is not the brain of the computer. Yes, it is true. The processor can never be like the brain of the computer. But what we are trying to say at this level is that it acts, or we can refer to it as the brain of the computer. Because when you take the human brain, the processor cannot work like the way our normal human brain can work. So, but we always say that we refer to it as what? As it acts as what? As the brain of the computer, but it can never be at the same level of the human brain. So please, let's get that point right. And the processor also processes instructions and also performs some calculations. The processor performs a limited set of calculations that's based on requests from the operating system. So when you take the processor is also having some speed. There are some processes that are measured in megahertz. There are some processes that are also measured in gigahertz. There are some processes that are also measured in millions of instructions per second. Millions of instructions per second. Then we refer to that as what? MIPS. So if the processor is measured in megahertz and we have another processor that is also measured in gigahertz, then we can automatically say that the processor that is measured in gigahertz will be extremely faster than the processor that is measured in megahertz. And we also have another processor that is also measured in MIPS, that's the millions of instructions per second. That one will also process very fast than the processor that is measured in gigahertz. So that is what we have to know. It's like when it comes to our car, we have the Tico, we have the Toyota Corolla, we have the V8, we have the Lexus. So depending on whatever you want to do. So if I have a Tico and we are all setting off from and a V8 and they are all setting off from Pedu Junction to Accra, automatically we all know that this is not prophecy or something. The V8 will get to Accra more faster than the Tico, depending on the situation, and whatever be the situation, the V8 in under the same circumstance, the V8 will get to Accra more than the better or than the Tico, faster. So that is that for you, the processor, the computer processor. So this is what if you mention the processor, I've shown the pictures. The pictures. Can you all see the picture? Okay. You have seen the Intel Core i7 processor. Then we have also seen that the processor is always on the motherboard and it is in the processor socket. And I've also shown the processor socket on the motherboard. When we also want to install the processor, we also have a lever over there. That lever we call it the zip socket or the zero insertion force. Anytime you want to install the processor, we don't apply a lot of force, but I will wait on that. You will take the processor and also discuss detail about how to do the installation and all other things in the subsequent lectures, or maybe in the subsequent week. So that is the processor. Please, can we all see the image? and the processor socket and the lever. Can we all see?
Yes, sir, I can see.
Right. My lady, can we all see it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is Intel Core i7 processor, and we can see that below it we also have the processor socket on the motherboard, and that's where we install the processor. And you can see that the processor is also having a lot of pins, some like gold rich pins on it, and that pin is so delicate. Anytime one of the pins is broken, then that processor will be dead and gone. So you need to handle the processor with a lot of care. And yes, that this processor also generates a lot of heat, and that's what we call it the central processing unit. And when everything about the processing about the computer is being done over there, then we are saying that it is going to generate some heat. So because of that, on top of most of these processes, we have what we call the processor fan. Can we see the fan too? So the fan is always on top of the processor. Please, can you all see the picture of the fan over there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you all see the fan? So this is what you call the cooling fan or the processor fan. And that fan is also on top of it's on top of the processor. Please, can you all see it?
Yes,
Affirmative.
Yeah. And I think you can see that the fan, you see, the fan is also sitting on some vent, and that vent is also made up of what? Aluminium. Can you all see the aluminium, this thing that the fan is sitting on?
Yes.
Yes. Who can tell me the reason why they have to use aluminium at that particular point in time? Why they manufacture that in the processor fan sitting on that aluminium? Why do they use aluminium always? Who can tell me the reason why?
Sir. Hello. Sir.
Yes.
Hello. I would say aluminium is a poor conductor of heat. So it cannot transfer heat to the fan because the fan is rubber type. The heat cannot be transferred from the processor to the rubber. So the aluminum will serve as a medium which will absorb the heat and cannot transfer.
Yeah. Please, did you understand what he said? Do you understand what he said?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
those of the students on board. Sometimes some of these questions we ask in exams and in your quizzes and all those things. Why do we have that aluminium section? Because he said it's a poor conductor of heat. So because of that, to reduce the heat drastically. But even if you look at car engine, wherever we are going to use heat. Go to the kitchen. Most of the cooking utensils that we have, they have used what we call aluminium or those things to manufacture some of the things. The car engine is made up of aluminium, a lot of aluminium in because of that. So please, let's get to know that. So on top of the processor, we have what you call the processor fan, and that is that for you. Please, do we understand that? We have also identified the processor. Please, can we all, I think at this level, when you open the computer, you should be able to identify the processor fan. And then when you take the processor fan out, beneath it is what we call the processor itself. So please, do you all understand that we can do that identification after today's lecture?
Yes, sir. Sir, so please, does it mean we have two fans inside the system unit?
Okay. Two fans inside the system unit.
Yes.
Please, is that your question?
Yes, please.
Okay, please, who can assist her for me? Who can answer that question for her?
Okay. When we're looking at the components in the case, we realized that we saw the case fan and then the CPU fan. So that is it. And even in the power supply too, we have another fan in it. So the fans can be more than two.
Depending on the manufacturer. So the power supply is also having some fan
Yes.
in it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dear sister, do you understand?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we are looking at another component that we were also able to identify was the storage devices. And we are saying that if you look at the computer, basically we have some 7 basic types or device that we can identify. We identify the floppy drive, the hard drive, the solid state drive, the hybrid drive, the optical drive, the magnetic tape drives, and the flash drive at some point in time. So if you have not seen some before, let's look at the picture. You see that the first picture is showing you the floppy drive, and I think that one, it is out of market and we are no more using it. And I know some people, if you are on board, if you have used a floppy drive before, just let me know. Gone were those days. That was the pen drive that we all used to have. And I think most of you have used the floppy drive before. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally
Yes.
take
The
us
old
somewhere to download games.
Yes, but my students that I'm teaching on campus here, most of them, they have not used the floppy drive before. They
the
are
Gen Z,
the
they are small
90s,
boys and girls. Don't
the
mind them.
small boys and girls, most of them have not used the floppy drive and they even don't know, they don't have idea about the floppy drive. But that one is gone, and it is regarded as an outmoded technology. But once we are doing computer hardware, please, we have to know that, or we have to know where computing started from and where we are now. And now we also have the hard disk. The next component that the next picture I'm sure was is the hard disk. Can you see the hard disk? The hard disk
Yes,
is also gradually fading out. The hard disk is also, I'm using the word gradually, so please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it has faded out, but gradually, most of the current computers that we have, they don't come with hard disks, but they are coming out, they are coming as what? The solid state drive, that's the SSD. So that should tell you that within the next 10 years or some few years ahead of us, the hard disk technology will also be out of what? Out of the market. So that is that for you. So please, can you all see the picture of the hard disk that I've shown on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, we can.
Then the next was the solid state drive. That's the SSD. And I think that's the current technology that we have. Most of the computers, the laptops that we have, the desktop, and then we have the optical drive, and that is the DVD era. But now, current computers, they don't come with any optical drive. Yes, we don't have it. Some of the current computers that we have, they don't, they ignore that technology outright. And I think people are no more using CD. Gone were those days, we have to go and buy CD and burn, use Nero to burn. I don't see people doing it now. Is it true that we are doing it? It is also gradually fading out. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Nowadays, you can use pen drive
Yes.
for your pen.
Yes. So I'm coming to the current. The current now is the pen drive that we all have. But so we are waiting for another technology to come that will also outsmart the pen drive. So the optical drive is no more. Then we started from the magnetic tape drive. The magnetic tape drive. Gone were those days. Lumba will come out with some music and come out with some album, and it in the what cassette era. The cassette era. I think we have also experienced that where we used to have some Piamon core DVD that we used to watch Ajako movies, Ajako those the Mewe movies and all those things. The Kumawood, it used to be on the magnetic tape drive, but you see that the world has moved on a lot. So that is that era. So the current one that we have is the flash drive, that's the pen drive era that we all know. So these are the basic storage devices that I think we were able to identify on the computer, the system unit that I showed you. Please, can we all see it? Any question on it? Any question?
Sir,
Hello. Yes.
look at the hybrid drive.
Mhm.
We know that it has features of the hard disk and the solid state. Is it now? Is
Yeah.
it an evolving technology? Is it a technology that is now coming in this system, or it's something that is already there?
Yeah, it is already there, but I think that technology, the solid state drive, is outsmarting it. Because most of the computers that we have is coming in SSD, and I think you will answer yes. Because if you go to the market and buy a computer, you will see SSD, and that is what is the current one. Okay, let's move on. So, what are some of the functions of the hard drive and the solid state drive? Why do we have that in the computer? Yes, that the first one is stores of the operating system for you. It also stores some software or some user files permanently for you. And we are talking about the HDD uses what we call the magnetic storage, whereas the SSD uses the flash memory for faster performance and all those things. So this I've gone ahead to also show another picture. So please, some of the things that we are doing, say this is an online class. So whatever we can do for you is to show you some of the images and show you some of the things. But you can also go to YouTube and watch more videos and appreciate some of the things that we are talking about, as I said. So we have the hard disk drive, the solid state drive, and all those things. That's some of the pictures for you. That when we also talk about the storage devices, we also need to connect them with some cables. And I think, yes, hello.
Hello. Nowadays, most of the times we normally use the hard disk drive at the same time using the SSD. You want to enhance the performance to play maybe a very high graphic games. You normally go for the SSD and add it to the hard disk so that you get more space and so that it can work faster for you to play your very high graphic games.
That is, you will do that. But when you go and buy the computer, do you have the hard drive and the SSD in it at the same time?
No.
So what you said is a suggestion. So you decide that maybe you want to play games, so you want to go for the SSD, but maybe you are using the hard drive. So that is also equally good. You can do it. Okay. So that is that for you. So we are saying that we can also connect some of these components. Hello.
This is one of the pictures we saw on the system unit. I saw that we had the hard disk drive and then the solid state drive also inside.
So
the two of them work together.
You said you want to. Your question is what?
I'm saying that he asked a question and he said the two of them cannot be inside the computer, but I saw the two of them, the picture earlier. So I'm saying that is it just for the picture's sake, for identification's sake?
Please, who can help for me?
Okay, so let me help.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the SSD and then the HDD, the hard disk drive, they are all for one purpose, that is for storage purposes. But let's say one is faster than the other in terms of performances. So you can choose to use SSD in combination with the HDD, the hard disk drive, or you can either use the hard disk drive alone or the SSD alone. That is for your own preferences, but they all serve the same purposes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
so, but
and
the space inside that you have to put the two of them together. There's a space.
Hello. Let's get a follow-up question. Yes, my dear sister, come out with your follow-up question. But before you
if we have a space.
Calm down. Before you follow up, before we accept your follow-up question, do you really understand what he said?
Yes, please, I understood.
Oh, you understood. Okay, fine. Then let's get up. Let's come out with your follow-up question.
Okay, sir. So I'm asking that we have space inside the system unit that you can fix the two. Let's say originally it came with a hard disk drive, and then you decided to add the solid state drive. Do you have a space you fix the solid state drive inside the system unit, or it has to be outside?
Okay, thank you.
So should I come again?
Yes, my dear brother. Yes, you can help.
So I think we have generations of system units. So newer generations of system units comes with a port for SSD. And SSD, we have two types. I think we have more than two types, but we have the type that looks like the hard disk drive. We call it the 2.5 inches SSD. And we have the one that looks like the memory, the RAM. It looks like the RAM. So it is sometimes the M.2 SSD or M.NVMe SSD. So the M.2 and then the M. No, that type looks like the RAM. So that type with the newer system unit, it has a slot on the board to put it in. But the older system unit, it comes with for the older system unit, whereby the ones without the M.2 slot, you just have to use the 2.5 inches SSD, the one which looks like, the image on the screen now. You have to use it on the older system unit as the hard drive. Like, it looks like the hard drive. It has the same connection like as the hard drive. And please, do you get it?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello,
Please.
sir.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Please. In terms of capacity, the hard drive and then the SSD, which one can store more data? Assuming they are all the same size, let's say 250, the HDD is 250, and then the SDD is also 250 gig. In terms of capacity, is it the same or there are differences? Storage capacity.
Yes, please. You can also help, my dear brother.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same.
It have the same capacity.
Yes.
It has the same space of storage, but one runs faster than the other.
Okay.
That's the SSD. The SSD runs faster than the HDD because it is a new thing that is coming. So whenever new things do come, there is upgrade in it. It's like upgrading your phone from let's say you are using XR right now. I'm using iPhone 4. You are using XR, and someone is using 13. Even if all of you are having the same space, that does not mean the XR can run fast like how the 13 is running.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
All right. Thank you.
So thank you. Please, do you understand what he said? Please, are you okay with what he said?
Yes. I'm okay.
Please, those on board, please, are we all following the discussion? Those on board, are we all following the discussion?
Yes, sir. We are following.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, my dear sister, yes, you asked the question. I think when we get to some point, I will answer some of your questions too for you, but let's hold on very well. Okay, so that's the hard drive and the solid state drive. So please, that's it. And I said, before we use some connections to also connect some of these hard drive to the motherboard. From the hard drive to the motherboard, we need to connect it with some cable. I think we are able to identify some cable. So how do we connect them? We use some cables. And I think the first cable that we'll talk about is the ID. That's the album belt era, where most of the cable that we used to have was we're using the IDE cable. I'll show it to you. We have the SATA, we have the SAS and all those. So let me show you the pictures. This is the IDE. And I think most of you, you have used computers gone with those days that was having the IDE cable connecting the hard drive to the motherboard, the floppy drive to the motherboard, and all those things. But
at the era of the Pentium.
The era of the Pentium era, the Pentium days, we used to have that, the album belt. If you are on board and you have not used computers like that, then you are the NAND babies, the NAND one and babies. Because when we were in school, if you have that computer, that one, yes, my student on campus, please, did not see the album belt before. When you show them the picture, it's like what is this? They did not see something.
You've never played Max Payne before, that's why.
Yes, so that is the ID era. And now we have moved from the ID to the SATA cables. Please, can you all see the SATA cable, the red cable connecting to the hard disk that we have? So mostly this SATA cable is connecting most of the distance to that thing that we have over there. Then we have the SI connectors and all those and the SAS connectors. So this is how far we have come from a bomb belt to the SATA era. And now the SATA is more faster. It makes the computer, it gives you better performance, like the other guy said. Yes, the hard disk is good, because the hard disk will also use the spinning technology. So because of that, it makes it a little bit slower, it generates some heat, but the SATA plus the SSD will give you better performance. That is if you want it, and that is the current technology. So we all need to address where we started from and where we are. But I think some years ahead too, there will be another technology that will also outsmart it. And I think it is even in the pipeline, or it has come out, which maybe I might not even know. But there will be another technology that will also outsmart the SSD era to a different era. And that is that for you. I think we all understand how we have been able to connect it. Please, I'm moving away from from the storage. Do we all understand that? Do we all understand?
Yes, sir.
Any question? Any question? Please feel free. If you have anything that is bothering you, feel free and ask. Because so if you don't understand anything, kindly raise it and let's help you. And we are learning. We are all in the learning era. We are learning together. So you are free to ask
question.
Yes, you are also free to also make your submission. Yes, we are listening to you.
Why is it that most of the time they have the two fans inside there? They have all the fans inside, but still it generates more heat than some of them. They don't have all the fans, but their heat are less. But those who have more fans generate more heat.
Yes. Okay, who can help him for me? You come there and we will solve that question. That's your answer. I can give to you maybe in some of the lectures. We have the new technology that we have is the liquid cooling system, right? That's the liquid cooling system that most of the current computers are implementing, and they are not even implementing the fan technology. Sometimes, okay, let me also ask you this question. You are in your room, you can be in your room, you have fun, but this current weather that you have, the fan is blowing all right, but you are still feeling hot. Please, have you experienced that before?
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Is that?
I'm feeling it.
You are feeling it.
Yeah, in that experience.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm not using your room as an example, but sometimes you can be in your room. There's a fan on, but in actual fact, you still feel hot.
Yes.
So if the question that you answer, the question that you ask, I'm trying to answer it for you. You still feel.
I can help you a bit. I think it will be helpful.
So that is why the manufacturers of computers, they have realized that problem. So now most of the computers have moved away from the fan technology to the liquid cooling system. And I think it is in one of my lectures, I will explain that when we get there. So I don't want to jump the gun, but when we get there, I will explain that technology to you. Why liquid cooling system now? And the liquid cool machines, even when it is processing, sometimes you send your ears closer and you cannot even hear the processor even spinning, or you can't hear anything. Can I move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, another component that we also try to identify is the drive base. The drive base. When we talk of a drive bay, what is it? We are saying that the drive bay is a space or compartment inside the system unit or computer case that is designed to hold and secure storage devices or drives. So the drive bay is regarded as what? As a space, as an additional space, or it can also be an additional compartment that is inside the system unit or the computer case. And the purpose of it is they have designed it to hold and secure devices or drives or That is that for you. So, my dear sister, you asked a question that can you have the hard drive and this thing in the same this where even if you want to have the hard drive and the SSD, where will you put it? If you look at the manufacturers of computers and the system units, they will always have this drive base. They have additional compartment, additional space in which if you want to add some space, you will be able to put it inside the system unit and get a space for it. Because most system units, they don't design it as rigid. They design and give additional space. And this is what we call the drive. Like that, this drive may also include the hard disk drives. It may also include the solid state drives. It may also include the CD or the DVD drives. It might also include the Blu-ray drives. So this is like drive base. What are some of the functions of the drive base? And that the function of the drive base is that it holds storage devices securely inside the computer. It also allows easy installation and replacement of drives. It also provides proper connection to power and data. Then it also helps organize internal computer components. That's some of the functions of the drive bay. What are some of the importance of the drive bay? It supports storage expansion. It also improves organization inside the system unit. It also allows proper airflow and cooling around the drives. So these are some of the functions of the drive bay and the importance of the drive bay. What are some of the types of drive bays? We have internal drive bay. That internal drive bay, it is always located inside the computer case, and it's used for HDDs and SSD. That internal drive base, they are mostly used for the hard disks and the SSD. So, my dear sister, I want to answer your question that you asked. Not accessible from outside the computer. So, example, drive base is 2.5-inch base for SSDs and 3.5-inch base for desktop system. So if you look at the image that I have shown you, can you see this image? See that they provided additional space in which you can add some additional hard drive that if you want. So if you look at most desktop, it has been designed in this form. Now, if you want to add additional hard drive, you will be able to add, because the motherboard will give you additional connections and all those things. So this is what we call the drive. Where you ask a question specifically that where will you put the additional hard drive if you want to add it? Yes, they designed the desktop in such a way that if you want to add additional one, you have to put internal drive base that will give you the space. Please, my dear, kindly mute yourself. Who is this person? Mute your microphone. If you are not asking a question, kindly mute your microphone for me, because you are giving me feedback here. Thank you very much for doing the same. So that is the internal drive bay that I'm talking about. Then we have the external drive base. That one is also accessible from the front of the system unit. It is used for optical drives and removable drives. So we can see example of the external. We have the DVD, CD drives. We have the Blu-ray drive. So that's the image of a computer case that is also showing, indicating the external drive base for you. Please, I'm done with the drive base. Any question on it? If you don't understand anything, so the purpose of the drive bay, the importance, the two types of the drive bay that we have the internal and the external drive base. When we talk of the internal drive base, then we are talking about it is used for the HDDs and the SSDs. It is always located inside the computer case, not accessible from outside the computer and all those things. Please, any question on the drive base? Any question on it before we continue? My dear sister, are you okay with the answer?
Yes,
the question
sir.
that you asked, where will you put it? You put it in the drive base. And all desktop or computers, when they design it, they leave space. We have what we call the drive bay inside. Any question on it? Please, any question? Okay, if there's no question, then we are going to another component, another major component that we want to look at today is the memory. The memory. And I think somebody mentioned it, the diagram that I showed you. Somebody was able to tell me that this is the memory. So after today's lecture, when you open the system unit, you should be able to tell me that this is the computer memory. And we are saying that the memory is also regarded as a solid state. That is no moving part storage medium. It can take many forms, such as the RAM, that is the random access memory. It can also be the flash RAM, the ROM, that is the read-only memory. We have the EEPROM, that's erasable programmable ROM. So the RAM is also having what we call the access time for RAM is also measured in nanoseconds. That is 1 billionth of a second. So the access time for RAM is measured in what? Nanoseconds. And when we talk of the nanoseconds, we are talking about 1 billionth of a second. And then when the memory is discussed, it usually refers to the RAM, which is the computer's primary working memory. So the RAM we are talking about, well, we are saying that anytime we are discussing the memory, then we are referring to the RAM. And when we talk of the RAM, we are saying that we regard it as what? As the computer's primary working memory. Okay, so the RAM is a form of storage, but that storage, we always regard it as temporal, And I think at this level, we know this. At the JHS level, SHS level, whatever you find, if you have done introduction to computing before, because that many people might not think of the RAM as storage medium. Why? Because they regard the RAM as volatile and it loses its information when power is removed. But what we want to establish here is that temporal storage is still regarded as what? As storage. So the RAM is always temporal and it requires power to retain the information. So for example, when you put your computer into the hibernation state, what happens is that the content of the RAM, they are written to a file and then retrieved when you power up your computer. So that is that for you. So the RAM is where you work with your data and programs and so on and so forth. Then when we talk of the ROM and the EEPROM memory in your computer, they also hold what we call the operating code for your computer. And this operating code also include what we call the power on self-test. In short, we call it the post routine and motherboard level process. And I think at some point in the lecture, in the subsequent lectures, we will try and explain the BIOS and the post. So today I'm just mentioning, so do not confuse the RAM operating code with the operating system. And so which is stored on the hard drive and runs in the RAM. So please, we should know the difference very well. This is an image of the RAM chip and also the motherboard that is also showing you the memory slot or the memory bank. And I think if you have not seen some before, the memory is having some chip on it, the black substance that you see on it, we call it what? The chip. And it's that this type of memory is known as the dual inline memory module. And on the motherboard over there, you can see that the memory slot, and that is where you push it. That's where we insert the RAM into. So today, whatever we are doing is the identification. At another time, we will take the RAM as the topic and we will discuss it into detail. But today, you should be able to open the motherboard and tell me that this is the RAM. And the RAM is stored, is not installed on the what? On the memory slot on the motherboard. That is that for you. And at some point in the lecture 2, when we are discussing the RAM, you will also learn how to install the RAM, how to remove the RAM, and also to install the RAM. But for today's lecture, we are just doing the identification. Please, have you all seen the screen on the image? That's the RAM. Have you all seen it? Hello, have you all seen the picture?
Yes, sir.
You see, this is online, so I don't want to make it abstract. So what I can do to help you is to show you the images. And as I said, whilst you're also learning, take the opportunity to go to YouTube, most of the sites or some other sites, and learn more. If you have not seen some before, go to Google Images. You will see a lot of pictures about the RAM, this thing that we are talking about. Okay, that is that for you. So, and we are saying that the type of the amount of RAM in your computer often depends on the type of software that you plan to use. So you can decide to have some computer that's having 2 gig or less, or 2 gig to 8 gig, or 8 gig and up. And it depends on the applications that you want to run. If you are using the computer for the normal learning, like you read Microsoft Word, Excel, and use it to teach, then we are saying that if you have some 8 gig of RAM, that one will be accepted. But if you want to use the computer for intensive computation like graphic design, multimedia work, and other things, then you need 8 gig RAM or more. So other than that, the computer will run slow. So much will depend on whatever usage that you want to use the computer for. If you are using it for intensive computation and graphic design and all those things, then you need a lot of RAM so that the computer will be able to run faster for you. Some people will tell that my computer is slow. You go and check the RAM that the person is using, then the RAM is less. So if you want some better performance, then we will encourage you to get a better RAM, a higher RAM. That is that for you. Is any question on the memory? Any question?
So please, what of the ROM?
The ROM. What has the ROM done?
Please, you didn't talk about that one.
I'm not teaching the memory. No, you see, I specifically mentioned the RAM because that is the primary working memory for the computer. That's what I said. And I mentioned something about the ROM. The ROM. Can you see this slide? Can you read the second note on it? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Read the second note.
Okay. ROM and EPROM memory in your computer holds the operating code for your computer, which includes the power on self-test, post, routine, and motherboard level processes.
So I'll talk more about this ROM when we are discussing the memory. But you see, I mentioned that when we are talking about in this, when I started, I mentioned this, that when you put your computer, when about the this thing, I mentioned that when the computer memory is discussed, then mostly we are referring to the RAM. That's why I focus on the RAM. But if I'm teaching the memory into details, we will talk more about the ROM. Are you okay with me?
Yes, please.
So that is why. But today, what I want you to know after this lecture is that you should be able to identify the computer memory like this for me. Hello, if you're able to do.
Okay.
Yes, that's my focus. But then we will take the memory as what? As a topic, and you will learn more about the difference between the RAM and the ROM and all those things. We will come there. But that's not what I'm teaching today. Today we are trying to identify the basic components that we see in the system unit. That's both inside and outside. And I will end over there once we are done for today. Then tomorrow, the next week, we will take it from a different level. So please, have you all seen the picture of the memory? Okay. Then the next component that I will also want us to look at is the power supply. The power supply. So the power supply, we are saying that that's exactly as its name suggests. What does the name suggest? Yes, the name suggests that it supplies power to the rest of the components in the computer. The purpose of it is that it supplies power to the rest of the components in the computer. That's the power supply. So the power supply, it also takes 120 to 240 volts. That's depending on the country that you are in, depending on the country that you find yourself, of alternating current. That's the AC from your electrical outlet. And then it converts this to 3.3V, 5V, or 12V of direct current. That one too depends on the country that we find ourselves. Who can tell me the specification for Ghana? Our specification, who can tell me?
40.
Yes.
240 votes, sir.
240?
Yes, please.
Okay, and when it comes to the electrical current, and then it converts it to what volt, to what voltage, the direct current, are we using 3.5 V, 5 V, or 12 V?
I think 12 V.
Okay, please look for it. So depending on the country, so you just don't buy any computer or any laptop from the shop and come and plug it. You have to know whether it is having the specification for your country. Other than that, you come and blow the power supply or the motherboard. That is that. So the main purpose of the power supply is that it takes what? Alternating current. And this alternating current is the one that we take from the wall outlet. And it will convert that or AC to what? DC, that's the direct current. That is the purpose of the power supply. Sometimes you see this in the exams, you see it in the quizzes, and you see it wherever. When you see it, don't get it wrong. The main purpose of the power supply is to convert what? Take AC and convert it to what you call DC. That is that for you. Don't get this question wrong when you see it in your quiz or in the exams, in the objectives. It contains a number of leads that supply different voltage for different types of devices. That's the hard drive and all those things. So let's go on. So this is an example of what the power supply. Can we all see that? And so the power supply converts the wall outlet, that's the AC power, into DC power. So some external peripherals have an AC adapter, which is an external power supply. So this is basically the power supply. Please, have you all seen it? My dear sisters, have you seen the picture?
Yes, sir.
That's the power supply. And we are saying that it is advisable, it is advised that it is recommended that you shouldn't repair. There are some technicians who will tell that your power supply is spoiled, but they want to repair it for you. Don't accept it. They will give you additional problems. You add, when your power supply is run or it's off, go and buy a new one and replace it outright. So it is recommended that you shouldn't work on the power supply, because you can only work on if you have deeper knowledge. But sometimes that one is not accepted. If the power supply is blown or a share, go and buy, refix it with a different one. That's my suggestion. Okay, that is that for you. Please, any question on the power supply? Question on the power supply. So if I ask the question, what is the main purpose of the power supply, the main function of the power supply? Yes, who can answer it for me? He said, please, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. I hardly can hear from you. Yes, who can answer the
Hello,
main?
sir.
Yes.
The main function of the power supply is to convert AC current to DC current.
Okay, and that is good. Okay, fine, that's good. So we are moving on to another component. Today we are just identifying another component is the adapter cards. The adapter cards. And the adapter cards allows you to adapt your computer to another role, such as controlling the assembly line robot, or to add specific functionality to your computer, such as the printing. So the most common adapters are now integrated into most motherboard. Most of the adapter cards that we are talking about, they've integrated them into the motherboard. So these components include the display, the network, the keyboard controller, the mouse controller, the serial port, the parallel port, the firewire port, and the USB port. So when we talk of the adapter cards, we have the ISA, the PCI, the PCI Express, we have the AGP, and so on and so forth. So this is a picture of the AGP. We have a picture of the PCI Express. We have the ISA, and we have the PCI. and all those. So all these things are adapter cards that we see it on the motherboard. And we are seeing that when we look at these adapter cards, these are the cards that will act as the daughter board to the main motherboard. And those things. So these are adapter cards. We have the AGP, we have the PCI Express, we have the ISA, we have the PCI, and so on and so forth. And that is that for you. So then we have the expansion slot and adapter card. So an expansion slot is a socket on the motherboard that can hold an adapter card. So if you go to the motherboard, we have the expansion slot that can hold the adapter card. So an adapter card enhances functions of a component of the system unit and provides connection to the peripherals. So you can see in this picture, somebody trying to install an adapter card into the expansion slot. So we are seeing that most of the adapter cards that we used to have, they were plug and play. They act as plug and play. When we talk of the plug and play, then you are saying the computer automatically can configure the adapter cards and other peripherals as you install them. So that is that for you. Any question on the adapter cards? So various adapter cards that we have the cable card, we have the HDV tuner, we have the MDI, that one is for connect musical instruments, we have the modem, we have the network, we have the PC to TV converter, we have the sound, the TV tuner, and so on, and the video capture, and so on, adapter cards that we have. It depends on the situation that you find yourself and which type that you want to use at any point in time. Please, any question on the adapter cards? Any question? Hello? Hello, are we there?
Yes, sir. No question.
Yeah. I want to find out whether I'm talking to myself or are you okay with what we are doing? Because I don't want to move fast. I can decide to go fast, and after a student will go and complain that they didn't hear anything and they are not even getting practicals and so on and so forth. But this thing that we are doing is more practical because I'm showing you some pictures, telling you what it is, and a whole lot of things. Can I move on? Then we are moving on to another component called the cooling system and the fan. The cooling system and the fan. I think I've already shown it to you. So there's not to remove heat from the computer system. There has been steady increase on the fans, the vent, and other heat dissipation units. So heat sinks with fans, they are commonly placed on processors and critical chipsets. So here came the question that I asked. The heat sinks, they are made up of heat conductive metals. So mostly you use the aluminum or the copper with the solid side in the contact with the chip and all this. And we have even explained that before. So this is the cooling system and the fan. I think I've talked about that. Then we think that the use of the fan with the heat sink allows cool air to flow through the fins. Yes, if you look at this thing. So the cage vent and the fans bring cool air into the computer housing and also vent and pull out hot air. So faster processors produce more heat. As somebody said, the computer can have some 2 fans, but still the computer will generate a lot of heat inside. So as processors have become faster, more methods for pulling the heat away from the processor have also been developed. And one of these technology that we have in the market is the liquid cooling system. The liquid cooling system. What is the liquid cooling system? The liquid cooling system is what? Is the reduction of heat and temperature of the inner environment through exploiting the properties of what? Liquid. Through the exploitation of what? The properties of liquid. So now most computers have moved from the use of fans and this vent to the use of this liquid cooling system. And the liquid cooled machines maintain desired operating temperatures environment better than the air cooled ones. So What are some of the advantages of the liquid cooling system? Is that the liquid cooling system is an efficient system for mitigating heat away from the processor and outside of the system unit. So consequently, what happens that this allows for higher speed, the processor, and that is the current technology that we have in the market. The processor fan is also gradually fading out. Most of the current computers, they are implementing what we call the liquid cooling system. So another advantage of the liquid cooling system is the reduction of noise, the reduction of noise in the computer. The liquid cooled computers, they reduce most of the combination of the heat sink and the fan generates a lot of noise because the fans usually have to separate a large volume of air over the processes at a high speed and through the system. So what happens that liquid cooling eventually requires much less space and also gives better or good performance as well. So that is that. So if you have the computer with the fan, I think that one it generates a lot of noise. But the liquid cooling system technology will reduce the noise outright for you. And that is that for you. Please, do we understand the liquid technology, what I've discussed so far? It's also another concept. Any question on it if you are confused? We said we have moved away from the processor fan to a new technology called the liquid cooling system. Any question? Hello, are we there?
Okay, sir. I have just a follow-up. My data got finished, so I went off. But I want to know if a colleague asked about why a system with more fans sometimes usually produce more heat, and he said you'll be explaining that later when you get to this point. I want to know if that has been answered already.
That is what I'm discussing now. That now we have even moved away from the fan technology to the liquid cooling system. And that's what I'm explaining now. That most of the current computers that we have, they are coming with this technology, and it's making the processor extremely faster than the processor that is implementing the fan technology. And that is what is happening in the market. And the liquid cooled machines too, sometimes even if it is processing and you send it closer to your ear, you cannot even hear any sound in the system unit because of the liquid cooled technology. And it also cools down the processor better than the fan technology and all those things. You can go to AI and it will give you more information on it, or any source, you get more information on it. That is the liquid cooling system. Please, any question? Can we move on?
Okay. Okay. So sir, I just like you just mentioned we should go to the AI or other decision to check. If not, I wanted to ask, when you mention liquid, are we talking about water here?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm just assuming or imagining it to be like some water contained in maybe vacuum or something. I don't know. I've not checked it actually, but then I'm just trying to.
Go and check. You can't teach everything. It's a new technology.
Okay, I'll just look at it. I'll look at it right away.
Yes. Next week, come and educate us on it. It's and it's far better than the processor fan. So today we are going on. We are sharing the Abitiana here. We started from the motherboard. We have come to the processor. We have come to the processor fan. We have come to where we are. We are taking the component one after the other. We talk about the memory and all those things. So please appreciate it. If you have any question to ask, we are taking the components one after the other, and we will discuss them. Okay, the next component that we saw, that most people didn't mention, is the firmware or the chipset. The firmware or the chipset. We are saying that the firmware fills in the middle ground between the software and the hardware, where the distant line begins to disappear. So one talk of the firmware is a programming code. The software, mostly the firmware, is regarded as a programming code, or mostly the software that is contained in or stored on the IC, mostly the integrated circuit chips, hardware on your motherboard. So this combination of hardware and software makes up what we call the BIOS. So we have the BIOS chip on the motherboard, and I think nobody was able to identify it. The BIOS chip on several different devices with different stored in the CMOS RAM or the flash RAM. So there's the compatibility of these chips and the code that ties them together is provided by a single supplier. And so we have what we call the firmware, that is the BIOS chip on the motherboard. So this is an example. I've shown you the picture of the BIOS or the chipset on the motherboard. So these are the BIOS chip that we also have on the motherboard, and it contains the programming code. And we'll talk about the BIOS. We have the BIOS and all those things for you. So, and when we talk of the BIOS, so I've introduced another concept that we have on the motherboard, and we call it the firmware or the BIOS chip. So when we talk of the BIOS, what are we saying? The BIOS means that it's basic input-output system. The BIOS, we are talking about the basic input-output system. So the BIOS is actually a software that is stored on the ROM chip on the motherboard. The BIOS is actually, it's a software that is stored on the ROM chip on motherboard. That is the read-only memory. My dear sister, I wanted to explain that, but we'll do that explanation when we get the memory types and all those things. So we are saying that most systems today use what we call the flash EEPROM to store the BIOS, so that you can update the programming code on the BIOS. But what were those days? Most of the systems that we are having, you couldn't touch the BIOS. You can't update it. You can't upgrade it. But currently, most of the BIOS that we have on our motherboard, we can write to the BIOS and we can update the BIOS. So that's what we use what we call the flash EEPROM. So the first program or set of instructions that run when the computer is switched on is what we call the BIOS. That is the basic input output system. So anytime your computer is completely off and you put your hand on the power button, you are seeing that the first program or set of instructions that will run when the computer is switched on is called the BIOS. The BIOS. Mostly, sometimes when you put your computer on and you put your hand on F5 or more, depending on the computer, then the BIOS will open for you. So the BIOS, we are saying that it's responsible for controlling or managing the low level but extremely important process like the post. So the BIOS, we are saying that it's responsible for controlling or managing low level, but we also regard it as an extremely important process like the post. And the post in full, we call it the power on self-test. And that's also the boot process. So we also call it the interaction of components on the motherboard. The interaction of components on the motherboard. So once the BIOS finish loading, then it will send it to the post, where the power on self-test will check if the keyboard is correctly connected to the motherboard. If the monitor is correctly connected to the motherboard, it will also check if the mouse is correctly connected to the motherboard. Check if the RAM is correctly seated in the RAM module on the motherboard. And this is what we call the post. So any computer that failed the post process, that computer will not boot for you to see. Once the computer is able to pass the post process, then what happens is that it will send it to the hard disk, that's the master boot record, and you see the computers will start loading the operating system for you to see. So that is the BIOS and the post for you. Please, any question? When we talk about the BIOS, mostly it is the blue screen. We used to have the blue screen, but we have moved away from the blue screen era to what we call the. Please, any question on the BIOS and the post before I start a different concept? Any question? Hello. Hello. Hello, are we there?
Yes, please, we are there.
You are there. Okay. So should I move on? Who is talking? Please, we can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay, let's move on. So that's the BIOS on the motherboard that I've shown you on the screen. Then,
hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please. I'm seeing that you said the BIOS is stored on a ROM chip, something like that. Please, how is the ROM chip like?
Yes, who can answer it? The ROM chip is on the motherboard. It's on the motherboard.
That is where the BIOS are stored.
Yes, that's where the BIOS are stored. And it contains the system information. So we'll come there. So, but now we have even moved from the BIOS to what we call the UEFI. We have moved from the BIOS era. The BIOS that I'm talking about is the blue screen. Can you see the blue screen over here? That's what we are talking about, the BIOS. But now we have moved from the BIOS to what we call the UEFI. Please, have you seen the BIOS? Hello?
Yes, sir.
That's what we are talking about. I know if you have used computers before, we used to have a computer that's having this blue screen. If you want to do installation, you have to go to those sites, and that's what we call the BIOS. Please, have you seen some before?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No. You've not seen some before?
No, sir.
And I'm showing you on the screen the old computers that we have. Some have the BIOS. So if you put your hand on the power button, you put your hand on F5, then this blue screen will show. This blue screen is what we call the BIOS. My dear sister. If you have not seen some before, then I'm showing you the image of the BIOS. And at the other side, we have the UEFI. That's the new technology. Please, those on board, have you seen it? Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, somebody said it. He said,
we've seen it.
And I'm saying that, my dear sister, have you seen it? The person who responded no. My focus is on you. Have you seen the blue screen?
I'm seeing it now.
And that is what we call the BIOS. And
Okay.
anytime you want to see the BIOS, put your computer off completely. Put your hand on the power button, then use either the F5, depending on the computer. I don't know, depending on sometimes F8. Then the BIOS will load for you to see. But now I'm saying that the BIOS is an old technology. So we have moved from the BIOS era to what we call the UEFI. The full meaning of the UEFI is Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. And it represents the next generation of low-level ROM-based code that controls the motherboard process, but with great deal of enhancement. So that the UEFI is capable of supporting advanced diagnostic tools, even without having an OS installed on the computer. That one is true. So the UEFI supports network booting. The UEFI supports secure booting, and the UEFI has limited shelf for running the command. So this one is the new technology, and this one outsmarts the BIOS, and that is that for you. So I've shown you the picture of the BIOS and the UEFI. So, but if you put your hand on either F5 or F8 and you don't see the BIOS, then what you are going to see on your computer might be the UEFI. That is the current technology. Hello, please, my dear sister, have you seen the difference?
Yes, sir.
If you have a laptop, after this lecture, try and see the BIOS, whether you have the BIOS or you have the UEFI. So what you have to do is that put the laptop completely off, then put your hand on the power button and try to put your hand either on the F5, F6, or any of them. I don't know, depending on your computer specification. Then the UEFI or the BIOS will load from C. Okay, fine. So that is that. So what is the difference between the BIOS? Why have we moved from the BIOS to the UEFI? We are saying that the BIOS is the blue screen that resembles the BSOD. So the BIOS also, I'll give you the full meaning of the BSOD in the subsequent lectures. The BIOS, the UEFI is more user-friendly, it's graphical user interface. When I talk of the UEFI, it is more friendly, and that one it is what? It's a graphical user interface. And the BIOS cannot recognize larger storage device, whereas the UEFI can recognize larger storage device. The BIOS is only able to use the keyboard. So when you go to the BIOS, it's only able to use the keyboard. But if you go to the UEFI, that one is able to use the mouse, and sometimes it can also use the keyboard. Yes, you can use the keyboard and the mouse in the UEFI. So these are some of the differences between the BIOS and the UEFI. So when it comes to security, the UEFI will provide better security than the BIOS. So I made mention in this lecture that the UEFI supports network booting. So it also supports secure booting better than the BIOS, and so on and so forth. Please, any question on the BIOS and the UEFI? So the UEFI is a new technology. Any question? Hello, are we there?
Yes, sir, we are
Hello.
here.
You are too quiet for my life. Hello, talk. Please, I'm listening to you. If I'm not hearing from you, then I'm thinking that I'm only talking to my laptop. But I want to find out if I'm talking to you and it is going on well with you. So please, any question on the BIOS and the UEFI? Sometimes I ask questions from this section.
Okay, sir. So let me ask a question.
Yes, ask your question, my brother.
In fact, initially I thought BIOS is the UEFI system I see. BIOS has the UEFI options. So I'm now getting the difference that is two different things. So I want to understand that was the BIOS, I don't know about the BIOS. For me, what I'm seeing is the UEFI. So was the BIOS only blue screen, or it had options like where in the UEFI where we can go to, let's say, power option, you customize how you want your, let's say, your machine to boot after power cuts, or you state where, I don't know if you get what I mean.
Okay.
That was the old BIOS, was it having these options like what we are seeing now, or was only blue screen without testing?
No, it was only the blue screen. It was not having a lot of the functionality that we have in the UEFI. So that brought about the new technology. Please, are you okay with it? Anytime we bring a new technology, then it is the old one is having some challenges. So they come out with a new technology to outsmart the old one. So that's the BIOS. It doesn't even support secure booting, but the UEFI supports secure booting. So who's that? If you're using the UEFI technology, it is very more secure than using the BIOS. Please, are you okay with me? Then,
Hello, sir.
If you go to the BIOS too, you can only use. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Please, if I understand his question very well, if I understand his question very well, what we are showing now, we have the BIOS, that is the blue, and the UEFI, which is the gray, or that's what I would say, gray or ash.
Okay.
From what we are seeing on our screen, is that not it?
Yes.
So his question was, the blue one, you see that there are text on it, options that are there that you can select from. And then when you go to the UEFI 2, there are options there like that. He was asking whether the old BIOS was having the blue screen with this text on it, or it was just blue screen.
The old BIOS was just the blue screen with a lot of text on it. You can go to there's a lot of text on it if you have done the installation over there.
My brother, do you understand it now?
Yes, I understand. But so with the test, were you you that time was it customizable or was only test without when the user cannot customize how the BIOS should
No,
function?
To do
that
that,
BIOS
as
is,
we see, it was just like this.
yes, my dear brother, talk. We are listening to you. If you can answer.
It was just like this. I was trying to explain to him that it was just like what we see here. The blue with the options there. You could select from there and do the customizations as you want it. For the old BIOS, that is the old BIOS. But the UEFI is the gray one on the right side.
Okay, so follow-up question. Does it mean that if you have your BIOS or your UEFI looking blue, having blue color, it's a BIOS or it's a UEFI? Because I'm using a 10th generation system unit and it has this blue BIOS something, and that also support the UEFI. You see UEFI option, secure boot option when you are trying to boot Windows from different sources.
Are you talking
So
about?
is that a BIOS or UEFI?
Are you talking about the new one?
I'm saying that yes. So we are looking at the BIOS is the blue one with the blue color. If
yes.
I'm getting it right. And I'm saying that I am using a 10th generation system unit, and it has this UEFI options. It has these secure boot options. When I'm booting Windows from different sources, like let's say pen drive or something, I'm able to select the UEFI or the secure boot. So is that it has a blue color as well? So is that the BIOS or it's a blue UEFI?
It's still the UEFI. You have decided to customize the color like that.
All right. So it originally came with the blue color. So I just want to understand.
But you can also, I think you can change the color depending on you. But the BIOS, it is basically the blue screen. But the new one, it's having more options. But this is the how do I say in computing, if it is the normal one that you always see, but you can still customize it to the color that maybe you want.
Okay.
Know if I've been able to explain it to you well. Yes,
so should I get it like
you have contribution, you can give your contribution. Please, if you have any contribution on what you say.
The brother who was assisting, should I get it like UEFI is a type of BIOS that has, deeper options than the old BIOS?
It's the current BIOS that we have in the market.
So it's also a BIOS, right?
It's also a BIOS. The UEFI is a BIOS, and that's the new BIOS that
newer
we have.
BIOS. Okay.
And the old BIOS, mostly it was the blue screen that we all see. You want to open it, that blue screen. And we are saying that old BIOS, you can only use keyboard. If you go to the old BIOS, you can't use the mouse over there, the blue screen. But the UEFI, you can use the mouse. Is it okay? And at the same time, you can also navigate it using the keyboard.
Yes, I get it now.
You get it now. Hello. Please, are you okay?
Yes, I understand it now. Yes.
My ladies on board, please, are you with us? My ladies, especially, I'm with you, our wives. Because
we are with you, but it's a little confusing.
They will stay cool. As I said, this thing you are teaching, what are you saying? But they will not say it in the class. So, my dear sister, where is the confusion coming from? Yes, hello.
Please, because you said you are using the full screen, most of us are using the emojis to show our reaction. So probably that's why you are not seeing that we are with you. We are with you.
Okay.
And then to help our ladies who are saying they are confused, what we just said, for the old version of BIOS, you can only use the keyboard to navigate through the options. But with the new BIOS, which is the UEFI, you can use both the keyboard and then the mouse. So when you realize that you're able to use the mouse in navigating, then it means that you are using the new version, which is the UEFI. But where you cannot use the mouse to navigate, then it is the old BIOS. That is how I understand it now.
Yeah. And somebody also mentioned the color, that is also using the UEFI, but the color is blue. Like I think somebody mentioned it, the other guy who was asking the question. And I think this one too, you can update the color to whatever you, but the old BIOS was just the blue screen. The UEFI will give you more functionality, more things that you can do over there better than the old BIOS. So, my dear sister, let us help you. Where is the confusion coming from? Ask the question so that we get to know how we can help you. So you are a little bit confused.
It's not I am clear now. How we explained it, I've understood. So the blue is for the old BIOS, and then the gray is for the new, which is the UEFI. So it's okay. So if I'm able to use both the keyboard and the mouse on the
confusing yourself the more. The difference is the mouse usage. If you can use the mouse, whether blue or gray, if you can use the mouse, then it is the new one. But if you cannot use the mouse and it's only then it's the old BIOS.
And another difference is that
hello.
Let me say another difference.
Is it when the computer is off? I'm not getting the computer is off.
But you will see the
because when I was trying to guide us how to use the BIOS, it said we can turn it off and then we'll press S6.
Hello.
I think what they are trying to say is that the BIOS is the first person that boots before the Windows loads. Okay, so what you are thinking of is on the Windows side, no, but the BIOS is also another system that controls how your operating system is info, because he even mentioned something under secure boot. If you listen, he mentioned something under secure boot, which is another feature which the UEFIs have. Okay, so the BIOS is also part is in the will I say it boots then allows you to even make some changes to maybe the disk drives, some internal stuff before the Windows we are talking of goes to boot. So you said the BIOS options that we are talking about here. That one features maybe you want to make some changes on maybe which drive your Windows should even boot on. Maybe you get some other changes to the internal. I don't know, but that one is different from the Windows side where you are talking about whether it will boot. I get in whether the PC is on or not. Okay, so but this one is another thing on its own before.
But you also want to find out what is the BIOS itself. I think because you see, I started by saying that it is on the motherboard. It's like what we started from here. BIOS is what the basic input-output system. My dear is that you heard that, and we also mentioned the fact that I'm helping my ladies. So please, if after this you still don't understand, ask the question for us to know. Because that most systems use the flash EEPROM. So the BIOS is what is on the motherboard. So I started by saying the firmware and chipset. So it's the BIOS is one of the chips on the what on the motherboard, and this is what I showed you. So that one has been done by the manufacturer. Hello, are you okay with me? It's on the motherboard. It's like a chipset on the motherboard. So that is what the manufacturer has done. It's on the motherboard, and it is the first instruction that you load when you put your hand on the power board, on the power button of the computer. That is when the computer is switched off completely. So if the computer is switched off completely and you want to see the BIOS, just after putting your hand on the power button, just put your hand either on the F5. I don't know, depending on the computer or the laptop that you are using. And some is F5, some is F8, or depending on that, you will see the BIOS will show on the screen for you. And if you see the BIOS, the computer has no boot tool. So you have to move on to the BIOS of your computer. So that is if you want to do something. So that is what we want you to know. So because you ask the question, where is the BIOS? What is the BIOS that we are talking about? And I'm saying that it's on the motherboard, and it's the first instruction that will go when you want what you want to what boot your computer. And as I also mentioned the fact that the BIOS is responsible for what the BIOS is what is the first program or set of instructions that when the computer is switched off that you will see when you put it on. So the BIOS is also responsible for controlling or managing low level but extremely what important process like the post So I've also introduced another concept called the post. Once the BIOS finish loading, then the other process that will take over is the post. The post, we call it the power on self-test. I'll come and explain most of this process in the subsequent lectures. But today, because we have introduced it, let me take the opportunity to explain to you. Next lecture, when it is there, I'll also explain to you. So, and I think that the post is what is the interaction of components on the motherboard. So, when the BIOS finish loading, then the post will take over. The post will check if the motherboard or if the keyboard is connected to the motherboard correctly. If the keyboard is connected, if it is not connected to the motherboard, then the computer will show you an error and tell you that there's a problem. So any computer that computer will have to pass the post stage. It will also check if the memory is well seated in the memory slot. If it is not well seated in the memory slot, it will throw you an error, and mostly you hear this error, the queen in the computer. If you hear some queen sound, then that should tell you that your memory is not seated on the motherboard well. You have to go and open it and clean the memory and make sure it is well seated. If there is even dirt on the memory, you are going to face that challenge. So that is the post process. And sometimes, if you are having problem with your keyboard, sometimes keys may become motherboard and computer. Keys may become and you have to go and rectify that problem, and that is what we call the post stage. So any computer that you have to boot will have to pass through the post stage. If it is having problem with the monitor, you have to identify and tell you. So once the computer finishes the post stage, then it will give it the hard drive. The hard drive is having what we call the master boot record, and the operating system will start loading for you. And that is what we are talking about. So that's the BIOS, the UEFI, and all those things. So we take example, the difference between the BIOS. We are saying that the BIOS mostly is the blue screen, and that is that for you. On the UEFI, it is graphical user interface. It is highly interactive, the BIOS. That's one of the difference. And we also mentioned the fact that the BIOS cannot recognize larger storage device. Unlike nowadays, the computers that we have about 200 gig, 300, some have even 500 gig. When you're using the BIOS cannot recognize that larger storage device. But the UEFI can recognize larger storage device. And you also made mention of the fact that the BIOS can only use the keyboard. If you are in the BIOS, that's the blue. You can only navigate using the cursor keys. Is that the cursor? Yeah, the cursor keys, left, center, right, up. You can only use that. But when you come to the UEFI, thanks be to God, the new technology, it allows us to use the mouse and at the same time to the keyboard. And that is some of the difference. And I also made mention of the fact that the BIOS does not support secure booting, but the UEFI supports secure booting. So in terms of security, the BIOS will give you more, the UEFI will give you more security than the BIOS. And these are some of them. So you can go to AI, go to other software, it will give you more difference. But my duty is just to explain to you so that you will go and explore and get more. And mostly sometimes I ask this question: what is the difference? Give me 5 differences between the BIOS and the UEFI. Some students are able to do it, others are not. And this is so, it's just a simple question that if you see it, you should be able to do it. My dear sister, please, are you okay? My dear sisters, are you okay?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Any question before we move on? Hardware is interesting. Computer hardware is interesting. If you get a lecture, we'll do. Yes.
Sir. So please
go
in conclusion, what would you say the use or the importance of the BIOS or the UEFI is?
Concluded the lecture. Why do you want to draw conclusion? Okay, so your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what are the importance of the BIOS or the UEFI?
What are the importance of the BIOS?
Importance, yes. Because the way you are, it's like you can't forgo it and then go ahead with your normal usage of the computer. But I want to know the specific usage or their importance. Sure.
The importance of The BIOS and the UEFI are the same. So
Yes,
you want
yes.
to
What
find out
they are
the
important.
importance.
Yes, please.
Please. Okay, who can help my dear brother? The importance of the UEFI and the BIOS in the computer. Yes. Yes, who is, please, we can't hear you. Can you amplify your voice a little bit?
Please, they ensure that all the necessary hardware components are in place and are functioning well.
And even if you want to do installation, maybe you want to partition your hard disk into two, you have to go to the BIOS. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Please, are you okay with me? Sometimes you are using your hard disk, you want to partition it into two or three.
Yes.
On this, the first place you have to go and do this is you have to go to the BIOS before you can do that partitioning. Please, the person who asked the question, are you okay with that?
Yes, please.
And apart from that, the BIOS also give you the system information. They put some information on it. When you go there, you will see the mouse, the keyboard, some basic information about the system is also stored on the BIOS. Please, are you okay with that?
Yes,
and
please.
many other things that you can do. So go and look out for more for you, the importance of the BIOS in the computer. But these are the basic things if you want to do hard disk installation. And sometimes too, if you go to the BIOS, there is something we call, I'll teach it in the subsequent ones. If you don't enable it in the BIOS, in computer security, you can be attacked by some, I'll teach it. There is some security over there. So there are a lot of things that we enable and disable in the BIOS so that you will not be affected. So it gives you the system information.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, I think casting memory back, I can remember the BIOS, you can disable the functions of the computer.
Okay.
Like maybe the keyboard, the mouse, and other components of the computer using the BIOS.
Yes.
Is it true?
And even the BIOS, you can set your password over there. And if you set your password at the BIOS, it will be so difficult for somebody to hack into your computer.
Okay.
It will be so difficult for somebody to even, if you give the computer to somebody, the person will not even know where the password is. You can set your password in the BIOS. Is it true?
Oh, yes, sir, it's true.
Yes. So there are a lot
I've done some before and I nearly lost my machine. Because I forgot the password. I think years back, I forgot the password and there was no effort that could retrieve the password for me. So by lucky, I got it back.
You got it back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I thank God that you are giving a testimony about that. Yes, you can set your password in the BIOS. So there are a lot of things, please, that you can do in the BIOS. So please go and Google it and find out the importance of it. Maybe I don't have it in my slides, but I will look at it maybe in the subsequent slides. I will add it. So it's having some basic importance. Yes, please. Are you okay with that?
Okay, sir, I want to add that something small.
Want to add that? Okay, fine.
Yes. So initially, I was asking a whole lot of questions because I was not getting the difference between BIOS and UEFI. So I want all of us to understand that BIOS is, let's say, BIOS and UEFI are all firmware operating, like firmware systems that are used to control the computer system. It's different from the Windows or the normal operating system. So without the firmware system like the BIOS or the UEFI, it's difficult to boot a machine into your Windows. It's difficult for the Windows to run. So those of us who were asking, I think a lady was asking, where do they see the BIOS? I understand that mostly ladies don't dive more into machines. They only boot and then use what they want to use. So for example, if you are using an HP laptop, if you press the power, you see HP. That is a firmware installed on the BIOS, like a firmware. It's either the BIOS firmware or the UEFI firmware. sometimes you see a Lenovo laptop or let's say Toshiba laptop. The Toshiba coming is not from the Windows. It is a software on the BIOS, or let me just use BIOS. The software on the system firmware is the system firmware. So where you see like HP, usually when it's booting, it gives you a prompt. Press F2 to boot into utility software or utility options. So when you press F2, then it takes you to the BIOS or the UEFI. If the machine is a UEFI firmware version or the BIOS firmware version. So BIOS and firmware are two different. BIOS and UEFI are two different firmware systems. Thank you.
One is outmoded, and the current one is the UEFI. Let us establish that. And the BIOS, as you said, when we press it, you see HP. It's a chipset on the motherboard. So I started by saying that we are going to identify some chipsets. When we said the motherboard, we didn't say that, but it's one of the chipsets on the motherboard. So thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. We appreciate it. We want to move further. Please, do we all understand? Do we all understand? Hello, do we understand? Can we move on?
Please. Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah. We thank God. We thank God that we are making a headway. So another component that when we open the system unit as a computer guy, you should be able to, or student of hardware, you have done computer hardware and in switch, you should be able to identify easily is the CMOS. We have the CMOS battery. Somebody was also so in the image that I showed you at first. Somebody said you can see the battery. So the battery is specifically the CMOS battery. The CMOS, but that's the name for it. The full meaning of the CMOS is complementary of metal oxide semiconductor. And we are seeing that it is often sometimes confused with the BIOS and the UEFI. So what do we say that? We are saying that the BIOS, why do we say that? The BIOS and the... Hello, do you want to ask a question? Okay, fine. Let's move on. Hey, please, are you asking a question or you are talking? Hey, my boss, mute yourself, mute your microphone because we are doing serious business, please. So we are saying that the BIOS and the UEFI is a programming code that is stored on the ROM or the EEPROM chip and controls the loading of the operating system as well as the low-level functions. And some of the low-level functions, my brother said it, like if you press on the HP button, the HP sign will show, Lenovo, you see all those things. So the BIOS and the UEFI often have settings that the user may control, and these settings are stored in the CMOS memory. They are stored in the CMOS memory. So what the CMOS refers to the type of manufacturing process that creates this. So this is the CMOS, this that we are talking about, the CMOS RAM, the CMOS battery that we are talking about. So that is that for all of us, the CMOS battery. That is that for all of. Please, can you all see that the CMOS battery?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that one thing. So the purpose of the CMOS battery is that it controls the date and time. It controls the date and time. The CMOS battery controls the date and time. Hello, please give me some 3 minutes. I'll be with you. I want to do something. Give me some 3 minutes. I'm not offline. I'll come back right now. Are you okay with me?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I suggest that those of us who ask with questions can ask so that we do a small discussion before he comes in.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I don't
hello,
know.
colleagues.
I've realized something. When I was trying to format my PC to Windows 11. The pen drive I've been using, I used it all right and it has been working, but on a particular system, another PC, a laptop actually. I realized that they were telling me it doesn't support secure. So does that mean on that cases be a BIOS system? That is why it's not certain after there. I don't know if someone has had it like that.
Right, right. So comparing the newer, often the usual machine you were using it on, and then the new machine which gave you an error, was which one was new and which one was the older type? Please, did you get it?
Have you ever heard of this Philip laptops?
Yeah, yeah.
Philip. Yeah, that very heavy one. Like it's fully loaded, very
Oh,
heavy.
okay. So it's an older
I
type of laptop.
understand
So
it should be old one. Yes, yes.
so what I understand in UEFI and then the BIOS is that the older systems had the BIOS, and they, like Sir explained, they are not able to handle larger storage types. So the older types, I think it can handle only 8 GB.
Hello.
For them,
Hello, I'm back.
type
Thank you
size
very much.
for
Sorry.
formatting, and it will work. But for the older one, they can handle up to 16, going from 1632 pen drive. They cannot handle. They cannot. The system will tell you it's unable to boot from the pen drive, but your pen drive will be working all right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm back. Let's continue. We are left with a lot of components to identify. So we have the CMOS. I think we are done with the CMOS. So I think basically these are some of the major components that we are going to check outside the box. Outside the box. So we've done, at least we've been able to identify most of the major components inside the box when you are able to open the box, at least. Then when we talk of the outside, then we are talking about the system unit. What are some of the things that we see over there? So let's see. Any computer is having what we call the form factor. So there are many different form factors for the system unit, some of which it takes the form factor of the motherboard going to the case. So there are some system unit that is smallish, others is a little bit bigger, some to it tall. We have the tower and so on and so forth. And that one, we have seen that one describe the form factor. So anytime we talk about the form factor of your computer, the form factor refers to the size of the object, be it the hard drive, be it the motherboard, or be it the case. So when you take your phone is having a different form factor than maybe your friend's phone. Your laptop might be a little bit bigger than your friend's laptop. There are some laptop you can even easily put in your pocket and go, or even in your bag, depending on the form factor. So when we mention form factor in computing, that's referring to the size of the object, be it the hard drive, the motherboard, or anything. So motherboard and hard drive have industry-wide specification and those things. So computer cases need to adhere to those things. When we have the input and output devices, so computers use many different kinds of input and output device, also called those things. So outside the box, you will see the monitor, you will see the AGP and all those things. So this one is what the PCI Express, the expansion slots. I think I've shown you all those things. We have the modem and all those things. That's also fine outside the box. So outside the box, you will see the port, the serial port, and the parallel port. I want to show you the picture. So these are some of the things that we will see over there. We have the serial port, we have the parallel port, we have the PS2 port, we have the games port. We are seeing that all these things that we are talking about, it has been replaced by the USB. We have replaced most of these ports by the USB. So now most of the computers, we don't see the parallel port, we don't see the serial port, we don't see the game port and all those things. So it has been replaced by the USB. Then we have the keyboard connector and all those. So this is what I want to show you. I want to get to this point. So when you look at outside the box, you will see this. So please, can you all see the image on the screen?
What a rubber.
Yes, please.
Can you all see it?
Yes, please.
Yes. Then you can,
Yes,
if you see, you can mention some of the components that you see outside the box. I think some of the components that we see outside. Yes. What can you see when you see this one too?
I think I can see keyboard port.
The keyboard port, yes.
Yeah.
And the keyboard port is the old technology. You have the PS2 port. Can you see that? That's the PS2 port. Yes. Yes. What else can you also see when you talk about outside the box?
So the HDM port.
The HDMI or
yeah, HDMI.
the HDMI port. Okay, thank you.
We also
What
had a
else?
mouse port.
Okay, that's good. Then what else? You said what?
Microphone pot.
Okay, that's good. The microphone.
We also have the fireware pot.
The firewall port. Okay, that's there are a lot of ports that
So we have sensors around.
okay, to avoid the echo, please. Those if you are close, keep your microphone off. Mute yourself. Then you mute so that we don't get feedback. We have the network port. We also have the what? The digital audio port.
Sir, I think the feedback is coming from your end.
No, either your microphone is on. Either your microphone is on.
Let me check. Is it coming? It's not coming from my end. Hello.
It's okay now, sir.
It is coming from somebody. It's not coming from my
Yeah,
end.
it's okay now. It's okay now. Thank you, sir.
So, as you said, we can see the headphone port in front of it. We can also see the power button in front of this. We have the microphone port and a lot of these ports that we always see, but sometimes we ignore. But as a student of hardware, please take your time. And we have the DVI port is also there. We have the speaker port. The speaker port, we also have the color, those colors over there. But you see that most of these ports now, we have replaced it with USB. We have the S video port. S video port is also there. So you see that this is what we call the back, or the, if you look at the computer, you look at the outside the box. These are some of the things that you see, some hardware components that you should be able to see. So please, as a student of hardware, you should be able to identify most of these things and mention the name. So what is in front of the panel? Most of the panel, you will see the USB, you will see the audio port, like I have said. You also see the power button. The power button. If you look at this, there's the power button in front of this PC. This is the power button. That's where you put your hand on. When you talk of the power button, the power button is usually found on the front panel so that you can power the system on. So if the system freezes up on you, you may have to power off the system and then on the code boot. Sometimes if your computer is on and you want to put it off, sometimes at some point you want to shut it using the operating system. But you see that you press the start button and the operating system is not responding to anything. If you want to shut it off, you can put your hand continuously, press the power button down for about 1 minute, and the computer itself will shut down. So that is that for you. So the power button is usually found on the front page. And we have, when it comes of computer booting, we have the code booting, There's not of the code booting. It is when you shut off the computer and then power it back using the power button. So when you shut down your computer and you want to put the computer on, when you put your hand on the what, on the power button, then what you are doing, then we are saying that you are doing what you call the code booting. But we also have what you call the warm booting. If you want to do the warm booting, what is it? So that is that. So the warm boot is when the computer is already running and needs to be restarted or rebooted. So anytime you restart your computer or you want to reboot, then what you are doing is that you are doing what you call warm booting. Or sometimes you can put the computer on sleep or on hibernation mode. When you put it on hibernation mode, and you bring it back, what you have done is that you have done what you call warm booting. So you know the difference between the types of booting. The booting is the process of putting the computer on, and you can do cold booting or warm booting. Please get to know this. Then we have the power light. You usually find the power light in front of the system so that you can tell whether the system is running. So anytime the computer is running, you will see the power light. So the drive activity light, that's the drive activity light will flash when the system is busy. Sometimes when the computer is working and it is busy, you will see that drive activity light showing, blinking for you to see. Then we have the reset button. So some systems also come with the reset button, which is used to do warm boot of the computer. So please, let's get to know all this. These are some basic hardware things that we all need to understand. Then we have the port and connectors at the back. And I think I've shown you the audio in the cable TV. These are some basic hardware components that you always see at the rear or in front of your system unit. So thank you for today. I think I am done for today. We have done the basic identification. Please, any question? We are supposed to close by 4, but I'm done for today. Any question?
Sir.
Yes.
Please, is it possible to use a different motherboard? Let's say brand, let's say Toshiba brand, and use the motherboard for maybe HP? Will it work?
Is it possible to use the computer?
Yes, a different brand motherboard for another one. So assuming you are using a Dell motherboard for an HP motherboard, will it work?
Yes, but if only it will fit into the form factor of the system unit.
Okay.
Yes, if only it will fit into the form factor. Yes, we built PC from the scratch. Once the motherboard will fit into the form factor, you remove it, it will work. And that motherboard is working. It should be able to work for you.
Okay.
It's possible because
so in that case, when you are booting, will it be let's say the new HP the motherboard you are using, or it will boot with the name the Dell? Let's assume you are using Dell motherboard. Which name?
It will come with the new motherboard that you are using. If it is Dell, it will come with the Dell because the BIOS chip on the motherboard will be Dell, though you are using HP case.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Oh, I know most of
yes,
you.
I
know most of you. I know most of you on board. You are hardware technicians, and I think you can build PC from the scratch. You can go to the market and buy most of the components. Once you have finished, I come and build. And I know some of you have done some before. Yes.
Allah.
Yes. Any question? Yes.
Sir,
We are listening
you mentioned something too. I think when you were doing the introduction to the BIOS system, you mentioned that the UEFI systems that you can make changes, like you can reprogram.
I can't hear you well. He said I'm mentioning what?
You mentioned that the BIOS system, you can reprogram it to how you want it.
The BIOS
that is
settings.
what I want to understand. Yes.
I said
not the settings. You said you can reprogram it. Yes. You say you can reprogram it.
The BIOS.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yes, please. You see, gone were those days. You could not update the BIOS, but now most of the computers that we have, you can update the BIOS. Yes, you can go online and update the BIOS to suit your current settings. But gone were those days, it was very difficult. If the BIOS was just read only, you cannot write to it. But currently, you can write to the BIOS. Most of the current computers, you can go online, Dell or whatever, and they will allow you to write to the BIOS to suit your current settings that you want to do. Please, are you okay with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any question before we end today's lecture? I think I have done my best by at least introducing you to the major hardware components. Next week, we will take the components one after the other and try to explain them into detail. That's what after we are able to identify the components, then we are going to take the components one after the other. Then we will delve deeper into it, at least. Yes, any question? Yes.
Sir.
I've sent. Yes.
Please,
Please talk.
There's no question, but I want to say thank you for your time to explain everything well for us to understand. Thank you so much.
Oh, so now if you understand and my ladies understand, then I'm happy. Because the problem when it comes to hardware, the ladies in the class, they are always quiet. After that, they will come say, we don't understand what you are saying. So now if you are okay, I'm very happy. That's good. Yes. Any question, or should we move? We should say next week.
Yes, sir.
I've put the thing on the professormesa.com. You go to YouTube, type Professor Mesa, I've put it there over there. Charlie, there are a lot of things that the man is teaching that you need it. You can go there and learn. Go to YouTube and talk about. They should teach you the basic component. There are people who have done a lot of video over there. They will open the system with and they will be taking the components one after the other for you to see some of the things that we've talked about, so that it will stick into your head. Though we are doing online teaching, but you can also assist by doing it. I have some of the videos over here, but it will be very difficult for me to send it to you. I don't know. But everything is on YouTube. Most of the videos that I have over here, I downloaded them from YouTube. So go there, like whatever we have done today, identification of the various components. Type it. YouTube will give you, most of people have done videos on it, and they will teach you this is the memory, this is the motherboard, this is the BIOS that we are talking about. Everything is there, and learn more. At least today, you will see some questions too. Even if you understand the first letter, you should be able to answer first question and answer get 20 marks, at least the basic identification and some of its functions. And I think by God's grace, I've been able to do a good job. Thank you. But I think the next meeting is next week, or?
Yes, please.
Next week at the same time.
Next week the same time. Sir, please, the name of the professor again.
Please, I've sent it to go to the chat. ProfessorMesa.com. Go to the chat, it is there. Professor Mesa is there. Okay, so where should I send the slides? Somebody said we need the slides. Who is the course rep? I will send it to you.
The course rep.
I will send it to you only. After that, just give me a phone call and I will send it to you to your WhatsApp and forward it to them. I can't send it to everybody.
So I've hired you on WhatsApp.
You said?
I have hired you on WhatsApp.
Hi on WhatsApp. After the
Yes,
lecture, I will send this lecture to you. The lecture notes. I will send the A+ CompShare A+ book to you. I'll also send the course outline to you so that you forward it to everybody. Next week,
okay.
Okay. Bye-bye to all of you. God be with you till we meet next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.